Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dice Cult for episode 252 of On the Backs of Gods. I'm your DM, Jillian. We have our players here today, same as always. We have Kyle, Matt, Katie, Josh, and Greg. Let's jump into it. Let's go ahead and do our recap. Currently, all of our players are in the Underdark as they were seeking a cursed magic item for a ritual they needed to perform, and they found it, and it's in the ritual room. We did it. Well, we're halfway there. Um, this sword, this cursed item called Dane's Life, if it is drawn from its sheath, the wielder will be more compelled to fight their enemies and cannot resheathe their sword until said enemy is dead. They are dealing with a version of this sword that isn't sheathed. It's just out. It's naked. So the rules have changed, and it seems that the sword is now much more aggressive when touched or wielded in any way, whether that is by person a person holding something to touch it, or magic. It seems to be extra aggressive, and that was proven on this day of the ritual as Nyx and Keld bumble their way into who is going to attempt to wield it and take it to the ritual room. Nyx is the best with put rope around it, but that is wielding it. You are wielding it, it's just on a rope. Uh, and Nyx begins to make the wisdom saving throws and is successful all the way up and until the ritual room, where she fails immediately the second she has to try and put the sword down. Um, the sword is yoinked from her hand, and she immediately loses it and attempts to get to the sword. Uh, Kel jumps in and picks her up, leaves the room, closes the door behind him, while Nick struggles to enter into the space. Um, you are in a, you know, Joshua, please explain the room to me for this our little flashback here. What room?
The the ritual room or just outside it?
The ritual room, please.
The ritual room is set into a or is behind a door set into the branches of a very large willow tree, and behind it, uh, it reveals a plane of glass in a dome of sky. You can't really tell where the walls are. If there are walls, it might just be this plane of glass forever. But um, this glass is like black marble, and instead of gold veins of other minerals, the gold is set into the floor like overlapping arcane sigils and runes and ritual circles, far more complicated than the last time they attempted anything like this. And very near the door, there is a kind of splash of water that has frozen the sword in place, kind of hovering menacingly over the room, and above a wax copy of Roshan that is standing at a point in the ritual circle.
Okay. Uh, Roshan, Fen, and Nana are in this room, and Rex. Where is he? Is he here?
I have to assume that Nana would have offered him the opportunity to not be there, and he would have said, if you're going to be there, I have to be there. So he's probably
So Rex
there.
is here. So there's four people in the room, and a wax display of one of said people. Um, Two people are outside the room with the loud click of the door closing. Um, Currently, this is an attempt to complete a ritual where the energy from this sword will be removed and placed into Roshan so that he is strong enough to do a later ritual. So a ritual for a ritual. That's where we are currently, is standing in this room. What's happening in this room?
Um, so Roshan is standing there shaking, um, and says, um, I need I need time. Please make sure that they don't come back through this door.
We can borrow it.
And then he begins to walk away, and then he turns back to the three of them and looks them each in the eye and says, "Thank you." And then he'll turn around again and will cast a bubble of silence on himself so he can attempt to contact the keeper.
Hope you know what you're doing. I'll trust you do. Come on, let's get the
Mist,
door.
Mist, I need a large 4 inch by 4 inch plank of wood, please.
And
Uh,
nails
you
and a hammer.
you you see the mist sort of like roiling a bit in this space. You think a lot of the energy is being focused into this room. So
Ah.
there's probably like one guy on overtime who is like
Oh no,
sprinting
this
down the
poor
hall
guy.
doing his best, but it is not appearing expeditiously.
Okay.
So you've made your request. We'll see if they are able to comply, but it seems like this room is taking a lot of focus from Roshan.
In the
Um,
meantime, Nana's going to post up with her uh uh fucking, the shield. Um the flail snail shield of spell guarding, yes. Uh just using the shield, the natural like spell repellent properties of this shell to help fortify this door against whatever might try to bust through it.
okay.
And everywhere in the room that Roshan isn't working, where it looks like he doesn't need the light, Fen will absorb the light with the little bottle on a chain. So
Okay.
that, like, if we're standing outside, like if, Nana, Rex, and Fen are standing outside of that, we're in darkness.
Okay. You absorb some of the light. Um, Everything I am about to describe to you happens in the span of exactly 1 minute. um, First, all of you hear this horrible boom, boom, boom clanking sound of two people fucking absolutely ping ponging down the stairs. It is the sound of armor clashing against one side and then the other and then the other and so on and so forth. Um, and then, Nana, as you put your shield against the door, oof, you feel as something hits hard against it, and you watch as gnarled brambles begin to like seep in under the cracks and around the door frame and seem to like be holding it in place.
Good. All right. Thanks, Keld.
All of you hear Nyx yell. This is right before the silence spell goes up. Nyx yells, Roshan is going to die. And the silence spell goes up on Roshan. All four of you hear it.
He's
Um,
what?
That is then followed by terrible squawking patoo sounds that echo through the space. Um, and then the squeaking stops and is replaced by Nyx yelling more frantically. Roshan is going to stab himself, which you can hear her yelling now from a slightly further distance. You hear the sound of what sounds like a bunch of things like clattering to the floor made of a bunch of different materials, just bing, 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 bing across the space. You hear the sound of what sounds kind of like two pieces of metal hitting together. So there's a bong, and then a bong, and then a bong, and it stops. And then you hear like a whistling, rumbling sound, almost like the top of a pot is starting to like boil over. So you hear just like this like rumbling and like then you hear another bong of two pieces of metal hitting together, and then what sounds like a large pot hitting the floor and scattering across it. Um, you hear Nick say, "You know I'm right," followed by Keld yelling, "Bring me a teapot." Which is then promptly followed by the sound of a teapot whistle as like loud steam, followed by Nick saying, I'll go save him. And Keld responding, we're going to make sure he's all right together. and then stating, "I'm sorry if it doesn't taste good," and just Nyx absolutely sobbing and wailing, and her responding, "He's going to be dead by now, Keld." You then hear the timbre of Erja's voice enter into the space, and you hear him, "Ow! Did you just try to blind me? You little shit." And then there is silence. So that's what you guys hear.
What happened? What the fuck is going on out there?
Fen is going to look at Roshan and then look at Nana. And I guess what I'm trying to do is assist Nana in doing an insight check on Roshan to see if she thinks that by looking at him, if anything that Nyx is saying might be true.
Nana's wondering.
You can make an insight check on Roshan. As you are beginning to do this insight check, um, the space begins to feel heavier. Like the air starts to get a bit thick. Roll your insight check.
One second, doing my math. I think that's 25. 26? 17 plus 14, I'm sorry.
Okay. Looking at Roshan, um, could you give me Roshan's maybe like visual emotional state?
I think it's the same as it has been since the failed attempt to bring the sword back in last night. He's worried, and at this point, he's shaking.
And there is a sword dangling precariously held by Roshan's magic from the ceiling.
How big is the silence? Can Fen and Nana talk to one another?
I would say
Yeah.
you guys are outside of the silence.
Right.
Because you, yeah.
Why are we rushing this? I know Nyx is in a state, and I'd like to get her calmed down, but why does this need to happen this moment?
Because there's no way for us to transport that sword anywhere else. It
Why
can't
can't
stay
we
inside the
take
mansion.
30 minutes, an hour, whatever it takes, just to let Roshan explain what he plans to do? If that involves stabbing himself, then we're going to find a different way to do this, or we're not going to do it at all. I understand we need to do this before we leave the mansion, but we have time.
Roshan,
Yes.
please. What's happening?
I think Roshan takes a deep breath, stares at his toes for a second before lifting his head and facing forward, um, and asking, "Keeper, are you there? We need to talk."
You can feel Odin's presence behind you. Odin seems to be in the space, but like a step back, sort of maybe on the edge of the silence. That's when the air gets heavy. And there is this creeping sensation that everybody in the room can feel. Something sort of tight in the chest, cold at the fingertips, chilling at the spine. Rashawn, you watch approaching, as if coming to enter the silence spell with you is the keeper. but he looks different. They look more like Ave. Not exactly the same, but much more similar. Not how the shadow has been prior, like how Odin seems to be woven from stars and shadow. The Keeper was once an entity of shadow. This looks almost like a being of flesh. You can see that some at the edges of like the hands and maybe a wisp at the face seems that there is some sort of smoke or shadow, but the Keeper seems much more solid. Ave presenting, but thinner, frailer, his pale markings seeming to have spread wider across his face and neck onto his hands, most of his hair a bleached white, enters into the space, doesn't say anything, just looks incredibly tired, and is watching you.
I think seeing Ave more clearly in this makes Roshan emotional, and his eyes go watery. But he says, "I'm sorry I put this off for so long. I'm starting to realize how poor a judge I am of others' needs, and now our time is limited. Again, I apologize, but I was hoping you could tell me of what makes you nervous, of what you've learned from Ave's memories. I do not know what insight you've gained across the veil that has given you doubts, but I wish to. Despite his flaws, I've always believed in Ave's vision. I've always trusted him to put the good of the people before himself. And so why does it seem like nobody, yourself included, trusts him the same?
He doesn't move closer. He moves sort of on the periphery of the silence. And just for the people in the room, Fen and Nana and Rex, you cannot hear any of the words spoken. You can see all of the visuals, you just can't hear anything. What Fen and Nana do hear is what sounds like somebody like taking a hatchet to the door.
Hello? Can you state who you are?
Sure, state who you are. And by hatchet, I mean a big sword. Psst, Keld, state yourself.
Sorry, am I at the door?
Yes, you're at the door. That would be astounding, is if you knock and somebody and you're just like, who is it? And it's like, am I at the door?
Am I there?
I wasn't ready to be there already.
You are a quick boy.
You're speedy.
It's Keld.
Oh, good. Is everything all right?
Yeah. Is everything okay in there?
I think Roshan's talking with the shadow and the other shadow, and I mean he hasn't stabbed himself yet.
That's good.
I think that's great. I don't know exactly what's supposed to happen. There's an effigy that looks like him, so I don't know if that's supposed to get stabbed or I don't know. Let me help you get this open. Nana's like
Please.
trying to like wedge out her shield, which kind of like got grown in with some of the brambles, so she's having to dig it away a little bit with her sword and her dagger, and you know.
Okay, you guys are messing around with the door, real slapstick style. Meanwhile, Roshan watches the Keeper move through the space. You're very smart. and I think quite insightful. How about we start there? You tell me, why do you think I don't trust Odin? And tell me, why do you think nobody trusts Ave?
I I don't know. Um, it could be any number of a thousand things, but when faced with war, instead of succeeding, they were brought low, and we're paying the price. And I think people don't trust Ave because they haven't known him as long as I have. Haven't seen him give himself to this, to Galunder, in the name of Gulveig, who last we saw was only had spite for him.
Hmm. So, Hertha trusts Ave. She knows him well, knows what his deeds accomplished. Do you think she trusts him?
I don't know. I I'd like to say yes. She didn't stop him when we left the day after the wedding when she was heavy with child. And I know she didn't want him to go, but I think she saw a glimmer of what I did.
Inspiring. You watch as the keeper like raises a hand and sort of like presses it like a bit behind them, as if like placing it against a wall where there isn't one, but you can see like the fingers like bend a bit as if pressing against something solid. And you almost see like the fabric of the room bend against their touch. I suppose let's stick to Odin for a moment. Tell me, what inspires you so deeply to take this risk for him? Odin begins to kind of like clear their throat, kind of begins to step more into the space. Keeper, and then you watch as the keeper raises another hand and places it in front of them. No one was speaking to you. I know that's a new concept for you. And turns focus back to Roshan.
Sassy. I think Roshan will give Odin a look that tries to explain that he's got this and any more help is only going to hurt.
He steps back.
The reason that I believe in Odin or what scraps we have of him is that he's been with me as long as you have and only been a steadying presence. Something that I dearly need. And if I'm honest, sometimes you need it too. And I think without Odin, before now, I would have voided my compact with you. Without their steadying presence, I may not be alive, may not be as well put together as I am today to see you.
That is beautiful. The way Odin has stepped in. How kind. Selfless, I suppose. Glances over at Odin and then back to Roshan. I think, and I never want to hurt you, with words or otherwise. But I think you will attach yourself to any steadying presence you can. Whether it is truly steady or otherwise. A lot of steadying and hope went into a recent flame we both knew. And she betrayed us. You believed her, Nana believed her. And I asked you to trust me, and you didn't. And we were scorned for it. And now I ask again for you to trust me and know that you should not put your faith in the gods. And you plan to scorn me again, yourself again, just because he looks like you and sounds like you and says the right words at the right time, seems resigned to bending the knee and taking his punishment. I doubt that. He says he will fight. Of course he will. He has been fighting this whole time. And now you fight for him.
I fight for him because he knows my struggle. He's been here to watch and guide, even when you are not. I don't know if there are magic words to get you to believe in me, believe in Odin, but perhaps perhaps it's time that you, and I think the next words are really hard for Roshan, but uh, he says, perhaps you should consider things from my point of view.
You know, I have felt like a secret for a long time. All of these conversations in silence. I think I'm tired of that. And then puts more force against this like magical barrier that their hand had been against. You watch the room completely shatter. Every piece of it ripped away until it is just the expanse of, it looks like the mist is pushed away, the glass ceiling gone, the tiles gone. The only thing remaining that Roshan had created being the sword placement and the wax figure of themselves. You are now all just in a blank expanse, which Nyx and Keld are now part of. As the walls are ripped asunder, the mansion is gone. You can see behind Nyx and Keld, there's like a sea of long, tall grass and brambles that's sort of just existing in the space. And Nick seems to be like sitting on the ground next to Keld while he's halfway to like raising a sword to strike at the door again. But now all of you can hear what is going on. That's better. Now, explain to them why you will be putting your eggs in the basket that is Odin.
I have two shadows at current. They are opposed, but they are not opposite. Both have hubris, and both are capable of spite, and both are capable of coercion. But for as long as I've known them, they've been there for me. Perhaps out of self-preservation, but steadying presences nonetheless. And I wish to join them such that their insight and their concern complements each other. And such that I don't lose more things that are precious to me.
I think that is the poignant part. Emotion. I think incredibly important, Roshan. But I don't know if it is for this. I don't know if emotional appeals are going to get us what we want. Well, it's going to get Odin what he wants, certainly. He's been playing that part quite well, making himself small. A demure thing, something you can pity, instead of the large stature that I can see behind him. A towering entity of power that I can see behind the mask that is your size. Kind, soft words, minimized from a booming voice I have heard many a time. I have known Odin longer than you. Not in long conversation, as we all know. He watches. He stays in the back and observes. He's a thinking type, you know. He wishes to take in his surroundings and observe the people before he takes a step forward. And I think he has read you quite well. I think you have been read. I think you are being manipulated. And perhaps I am manipulating you as well. I want what I want. Odin wants what he wants. And you want something in the middle. And I think Odin will take a curt bow and state he wants those things as well, when I do not think that is the case. He is a god, whether it is a small piece of it or otherwise. He is one piece of a god, and the worst piece, mind you. You noticed all of the shades, all of their emotions taken from heightened times, either a moment of betrayal or death or both. And I am not saying I am not swayed by the fact that I am in a similar place, that I am swayed by my final moment. His final moment. Ours. I, whether it is because I am Ave or not, I cannot put my faith in a God when they continue to scorn us, and I do not mean just us, the people of this room. I mean the people of Midgard. Imagine if any god had stepped in. There are plenty remaining to help. And they won't. They won't. And like, you watch as his like back starts to arch, and you see like kind of like the shadow begins to grow a bit, and he takes like a breath, a deep breath, and then straightens back up again. The shadow around it coming back in. I don't want this to be a fight. My qualms are with him, and he looks to Odin. Not any of you. And I think if Odin did care for you, Roshan, he would truly lay down, and he would not have his eyes upon the sword that dangles from the ceiling. Now, I believe I see him for what he is, and you believe the same. One of us must be wrong. Which is it? Because that's important. Not always. It's okay to learn, to fail. But we already did this. The flame showed us this. That the gods will lie and manipulate to get what they want, and will grab objects of power to save themselves as soon as they can. They do not care who they hurt. And kind of just like takes like a steadying step back and begins to like kind of move around the edge of the space.
I think Roshan will ask after him and say, "You speak of gods as a monolith, that they all do these things. And yet, Ave, when he was alive, sought godhood for himself."
You are catching on, Roshan. Gods cannot be trusted. And that's what Ave sees himself as. Well, he didn't see himself as, needed to see himself as, for the good of the people, of course. But once you get that power, he thought because he started as a man, that it would be different. I don't know if I believe that. It
Why
is
not?
absolute power. It will take you.
Power corrupts.
Just as it took every god before him. All corrupt, or willing to let the corrupt continue. Sit upon their thrones, wage their wars, do anything for survival. I think Ave's intentions were good. To him, I don't know if they're actually, truly good. And that's where I begin to have doubts from the things I've seen of the man I've gotten to know. I suppose the man I am. I don't know if I trust that man. Perhaps I trust him a smidge more than Odin, because I believe Ave cared. I don't believe Odin does. And that maybe is our impasse, is that at this moment, you are willing to see the good, whether out of survival or need, I'm unsure. You're willing to see the good in Ave, which he at least has presented to you and shown over time. And you're willing to believe the good in Odin, which he presented to you over the span of a week and a half, two. You are just eager to jump into things. And I understand. The clock is ticking. The steps to get here give me pause. Even if I believed in Ave or Odin, the steps to get to where we are today, the pieces that Ave laid upon the floor, I think this started as a tainted thing, and it continues to be such. And you can see, like, there's, like, kind of that warbling against, like, his skin, like, this, like, shade trying to, like, move out in a way, but he is keeping it contained. I just am worried that you don't trust my advice, my input. I'm worried you don't see it anymore, even though it has been quite on the mark. Doubt. Is that what it is? Do you doubt me? Because it seems you don't doubt Ave. And you don't doubt Odin. Do you doubt me?
I doubt you because what I wanted was Ave. What I've always wanted was to make him proud. And now that he's gone and his shade tells me that what he wanted was perhaps tainted, no one's sure. That now that I've come to understand that, maybe I want to keep the pieces that I'm left with.
Mm. And if I am to say that I will not work with Odin,
Then what will you do instead? I hate to call attention to your state, but you're not holding yourself together well.
Everyone else is allowed to falter. Everyone else is allowed to succumb to their emotions. And yet, the moment I finally stumble and fall upon my knees and struggle, he is not trustworthy. He is unwell. And he turns his focus to Odin. Something's wrong with him. And maybe that's true. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe there's something wrong with me, but it is quite hard to trust Roshan. You watch his runes begin to glow across the floor. Now, what are these? And you watch as he pulls them up, and they kind of present themselves almost like a page. Roshan, this is the extra layer of magic you put into the ritual room.
These are a way out. A way to not exterminate the shreds we have left of a god.
A little jar, like that you keep a butterfly in, perhaps, for our friend Odin. Or perhaps something that keeps him tethered to this place, or untethered. I am skilled in many magics, but this I cannot predict the outcome of. Nor do I think Odin can, but I think there is some excitement in it, that there is a backup, if I am to be chosen in this scenario. I am not saying, even though I am full of doubt, that I would not see the ritual through. I would beg to see it ended. I would beg for you to save your sister. I would beg for us to repent and do something, anything else, to repent for the lives taken for these rituals. But if you came to me and there was no other choice, I would bend. I would bend till I break for you. But I ask now, if I am to say I will not work with Odin, that means only one of us moves forward for this ritual. Who would it be?
Roshan, take a deep breath.
I imagine a little unseen servant with a 4x4 waddles up, and Fen just like,
Go back. And it just slowly backs up out of the room.
I think Roshan stares at his shoes being the subject of scrutiny from probably most of the people in the room. And I think he stays that way for a good 30 seconds before he lifts his eyes again and says, I don't know. Without Odin, my sister's Ave's ritual will not work. You've too many doubts, and I can see how they would spread and infect everything we've done because you say it is tainted, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Without Odin, this doesn't move forward because it is tainted by your own tongue. And I will not ask you to perform it knowing that it will do that, but I know that Odin's drive, perhaps for survival and godlyhood, is what will bring this together.
Is that what we want to hang the survival of the world on? I'm sorry, I know this is crushingly important to you, Roshan. I understand, I do. But
Roshan,
I must beg just a moment of consideration for what happens once the ritual is done. What is the result? Who is the new god? And what do they do? What did the flame become?
every one of these things that is billowed off of you has tried to kill us. And I still stand here with you because I trust you. I do not trust them, even a bit. And I've always trusted that you had some idea of what you were doing. But you haven't been very forthcoming with any of that information. Maybe it would all go over our heads. I don't know. But there are 5 other people standing here in this room with you right now. And this power that emanates from these shadows that come off of you, and none of us may leave this room because we're trusting you. If you're holding on to something because of sentimentality, that's an awfully loose way to approach a subject that 5 of your friends' lives depend on.
To say nothing of yours and your sisters. Let us help you. You could have told us so much of this so much sooner. I didn't want to push you. I didn't want to make you feel like we didn't have faith in you, and we do. But Roshan, please. We can find some other solution to this, I think. If you'll let us help, bring us in. Let us in, please.
I think Riley, Roshan says, "What more do you want to know?"
What do you hope to accomplish? Any number of us could have been killed by that sword. Any number of us could have been killed on the trip here. And we still don't know what this ritual of yours does. You haven't told us
This,
anything, Roshan.
you don't know what this ritual does? I am going to take in the energy of the sword to become stronger, to provide body to this ritual, to give a god flesh.
Why? Why? To what end?
As a deliverer from corruption.
You hope that this god will walk amongst us across the land and just take the corruption out of the ground and what, into himself? Into the sky? What is the how does this work? Can you explain it to me like I'm very stupid? Because I am.
I think Nyx is covering her eyes not to look at the sword. No, I think you're asking the wrong person, Nana. The one that seems to know actual information is just gonna try to point to wherever the Ave shadow is walking around. Whoever he is, I think he has information, but Roshan's told us a lot.
Well, in that case, Nana will look towards the shade of Ave and ask, you said that this fragment of Odin is the worst one. What fragment is that? What portion of Odin does he contain? What have you learned?
See, I've been trying to figure that out precisely. My first instinct is ambition. That is where I lie first, is that their fault is ambition. And we know how that will end, as it always had. Ave never trusted an ambitious man, but said he would surround themselves with him, that he would keep them close. Because the knowledge, informative, important. But keeping them too far away, dangerous, ruinous. I cannot tell if this piece of Odin, his final moment, if it is when he fell in battle, or if it is when he hung himself from the tree in search of all knowledge. That's where I lean a bit. Is that I think, and I think this is what Roshan clings to, is that Odin, the piece of him that is here, will do anything, anything in the thoughts of success or power. And I think currently that is a lot easier to look at than caution, than fear, than wondering if there was a misstep, if something was done wrong, and taking time to figure out if that is true. We could create time. I believe that. But I don't think you want it. And he looks at Roshan. I don't think you want to dwell on this longer than you have to, because it is painful. Because it is so incredibly painful.
So this is the worst of Odin. Odin's desperation. Desperation can be the best or the worst part of anyone, Roshan. Don't let it be the worst part of you.
If there is any one good thing I think I've taken from any god, it was the prudent words of Snotra that it is always good to seek wise counsel and to take a moment to look before you leap.
God should not be followed blindly.
With consideration, I think they can be of good help. Certainly, Fenn's alliance has done us great good. I have not been much of a good representative or acolyte of Snotra, but I'm trying. And I think there were good things that Odin did in his day. I do. I think there have been many good things Ave did in his day. But what we do now is what matters. What we choose to do and what we choose to make of the world that they've left us is what matters. And we must choose it deliberately, or we will be horrified by what we are left with.
I'm not sure how I feel about creating a new god, but I don't think we owe any allegiances to the dead ones.
Uh, Odin remains, Roshan, behind you, quiet, stoic. There seems no wavering. He just listens. You cannot see where he looks as he is behind you, but he stands there quietly.
Can any of us see where Odin is looking? Nana would love to insight Odin.
So I would say it's like Roshan was ahead of all of you,
Right.
to perform the ritual. Odin was behind him.
Okay.
Ave, the keeper, is past them. So
Mm.
like most of the time, you all are looking forwards. So you
Mm.
can see like the back of Roshan until he like turns and is addressing you. Odin does not seem to like turn. He seems to be just keeping his focus forwards more towards where the keeper is. He is just
Okay.
standing there, quiet and stoic. I would say it is hard to read a shadow entity when it is not actively showing any like signs of distress.
Yeah. Okay. Not much in the way of body language to glean from.
No. It looks like its arms might be like behind its back, maybe, but it's kind of hard to tell. It's just
Yeah.
standing there. Roshan. I don't want to hurt you like this. I wish you did not have to make this choice. Ave's choices have put us in a bit of a predicament, I would say. My choices. Our choices. I don't envy you. But hearing that you doubt me is crushing. But if I am broken and flawed, then perhaps you are justified in your thinking.
I think at that, Roshan's watery eyes do start to cry. Um, just quietly. He doesn't wipe his tears away, but he says, I think we could sing ourselves in circles when we think about what could happen. And this whole time, I've been trying to make what I hope will happen.
Can you tell us exactly what it is you hope will happen? Paint a picture.
I hope to carry out Ave's will, to give flesh to a new god who can, in Gulveg's absence, in Odin's absence, in those that have fallen's absence, rid the world of corruption. We have inadvertently done a great evil in shuffling off our corruption onto the East. And I am trying to absolve myself of that sin, because even though I did not know what was happening, I should have. I should have slowed down to understand. And now I'm trying to fix the problems that I caused.
That's understandable, Roshan, and commendable. But in so doing, I worry you are speeding towards a resolution because you are afraid for your sister, and I don't blame you. I'm afraid for her too. But I think that there are other ways we can approach this. I think there are other ways that we might be able to push back the corruption another way. We need not empower a god to do so if we can find a way to make it our own ability.
We
Sindri's found a
might,
way.
we could, we maybe, we could
Sindri's
try.
found one. We can find another way. We need not use his, but we can find others. You're clever, Roshan. So clever.
And is it cleverness to not use a solution you've been given?
I think that it is clever to use a tool. I think it is wise to know which tool to use.
And do you think me unwise for choosing this tool?
I think you're in pain. And I think you're afraid. And I think you've every right to be. And I think that that is what is driving your choices. And I can't tell you how many of the choices that I've made and that I've seen us make have been in pain and fear. I think we need a different approach, and I don't think that we need to rely on what has been laid out for us. You and I are both sick to death of all the death that we have had to see. For all of this, Aves to start, and so many more since. We don't need to double down on that bloody commitment just because it's already been done. If there's a way to make that sacrifice work another way for good, good. But if it was just blood that will beget more blood, I don't think that's the way.
I think Roshan, about 3/4 of the way through that, turns back to look at the keeper, but specifically the parts of the keeper that look like Ave, um, uh, and I think he sits on the ground and begins weeping.
Nyx is gonna go over there blindly. And
Nana
sit next
will
to
help
him.
guide Nyx over there, god dang it. She sees Nyx kind of like fumbling forward. She's like, yep, here we go. Yep.
I can
Yep.
hear the crying. I'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Nana just
Good.
kind of like corrects her if she like goes off course.
She's gonna reach for Roshan's hand and hold it. If he'll let her.
He will.
If he'll allow Nana to take the other, Nana will take the other.
I think there is apprehension, but he will.
I want to help. We want to help.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really care which one you pick. But if this is if you want to do this, I'm here and I'll help. You're just not allowed to die in the process. That's our deal.
I made a promise, and I'm doing my damn best to keep it.
Odin sort of raises his hands slowly. I think we are getting a bit stuck in the concept of picking one. I think there is more balance possibly in there being both of us in this. Balance. If the keeper is doubtful and I am ambitious. These are two things that could work well together. Caution, but focus. Do you not see that as a way forward? I think it's more said to Roshan than the keeper. It is kind of focused more in that direction, but it is said more to Roshan.
Could be.
Well, as I've said, I prefer not to lose either part of you. And in fact, was prepared to walk into, and I think he looks around to wherever this is, and side with the keeper and allow what's left of Odin a way out. And I understand the tension to aligning yourself with a god, with the unknown parts of what still lie there. But I believe also that what Odin has left behind is worth cherishing. For Without their presence, things could have been much worse, especially in the early days. And perhaps best known for their wisdom, but also their steadiness.
I feel. The keeper sort of straightens up a bit. We have hit a bit of an impasse. Based on my knowledge, that it seems you do not take much into account anymore. I believe bringing a god, whichever god, into this, the worst pieces of a god, the final moments of a god, I believe ends in ruin. I don't know if I can be privy to that. If I can bow my head and allow Odin to take his steps back up to a throne that he lost. I am willing to work to earn that throne if you think I must sit upon it. But I cannot be part of him. And I know that we can't start this over. We have entered this room. I think only one of us leaves. And currently that choice falls to you. Falls to you. And you can just see, like, you watch, like, the body sort of shimmer and arch again and then move back into place. You have to choose. And Odin gets to play good guy because he says he is willing to cooperate. I worry that even if we did team up, that once we ascend to godhood, I would be drowned out anyways. I only know what it's like to play God. I haven't been one.
I think Roshan stands up and then approaches the keeper. What I think he'll look him in the eyes. What does he look like when viewed from this close?
He looks like Ave, but like I said, gaunt, tired, frail, maybe a little older. He looks cold. You think you can see frostbite at the edges, where the warbling is, where the shifting is. You look into his eyes. Roll insight. I'll give you advantage. The shadows are part of you.
28.
The keeper is addled in some way. There is something wrong here. but that's how it's been for many of the shadows when they show heightened emotion, when they're in a place of turmoil. It presents very physically. Um, and you are seeing the keeper trying to resist that that change, that heightened emotion, and you can see that they are currently struggling with it. You look into the keeper's eyes, and they are already hurt.
Um, do you have more to say?
Is there something specific you wanted?
No, I think Roshan peers into the keeper's eyes and then just slaps him. Um, and then before he's even stood back up straight, I think he's giving the keeper a hug. And he says, I hate you. And not everyone's last moment is their worst. I remember specifically after everyone else was gone, looking at the what should be a face, but was a god, um, and spitting into their face. And then it went dark. And perhaps I was so cagey about letting everyone in because I knew that they would frown upon my hubris. That making you into a god was possible, deifying my father. But I simply don't think that belief enough is alone. Belief alone is enough anymore. Now, I don't know what it would be, what kind of person I would be to ask you again to join with someone you obviously detest. And so I'll ask you again, could you give me my spell work back and allow Odin an escape?
You watch energy roil up the keeper's spine. I think your friends are right. And I think I've been quite right. Isn't that so? And like raises a hand, and you watch as the room, like the space, barely a room, wouldn't call it that, shifts aggressively. And you watch as the sword and the wax figure of Roshan shifts to the other side. And you see that Odin has stepped forward. How interesting. You stay there, please. Perhaps you need more time, Roshan. And more than that, perhaps you need information. Let me give you both while I deal with the thorn in our side. And you watch as the body like shifts and moves, and you watch as the shape begins to grow until the keeper's body sort of like bends forward at an aggressive arch, and you watch as shade leaks from the spine and begins to slip out around the edges, almost forming a cloak, a hooded cloak that begins to embrace. You watch as the fog is pulled from the shadows and rockets upwards, forming into a staff that he holds. He is now one story, two stories, three stories. A lantern forms at the end. I'll give you time as the face becomes completely obscured, and you are all shunted in a direction in the darkness. Odin, Odin. And you watch as the lantern swings from side to side as bookshelves rocket up from the ground, shoot up, dark, shadowy bookshelves filling the space, wall to wall, endless books. And the first one you see up on the shelf has a red ribbon flowing from it in a soft breeze, like a bookmark. And that's where we're going to take our break. Thanks for being here.
Well.
How about you go get a snack and a drink, and we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Thank you, 10.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dice Code for episode 252 of On the Backs of Gods. We just took our 10-minute break. The party had a little parlay with Roshan's shadows, one of them being a shade of his father figure and former mentor, who has the intent, had the intent of becoming a god to save the continent. And as stated by at least the things you have been presented. Um, and then a shade of Odin, um, actual god. On the scales of morality, up to you, really. Um, in ye olden days, Odin was usually worshipped either by kings or by bandits. So, like, follow your heart, I suppose. Like, live your best life on that one.
What's important to you, winning
They also thought he
or
was a little
feeling good about
queer.
yourself?
They're also like, this guy is a little queer, to be fair, because
That's
he knew
also
magic,
fine.
and magic is for women. But that's not the lore of this world. Everybody can use magic.
But also, like, everybody's a little bit queer, so.
Everybody who uses magic is queer, but that's just the rules. I don't make them. Some other guy did that, and I said, okay. I said, bet. Anyways, you all currently um, are in this conversation with the two shades. Um, it seems Roshan was, after some back and forth, it seemed, inclined to pick the keeper, who is a shade of Ave, but gave one last plea to like save Odin in some way with the backup magic that he had prepared. And the keeper said, "No, I got it covered." And, and it was like, "No, I'll deal with it." And the room shifts and you are shunted into a space that is rows and rows and rows of library books. Towering over this space is the keeper. Um, 10, 20 stories high. Uh, a large, arched, hooded entity wielding an arched staff that has a lantern at the end. And they seem like far off. They're like in the distance. It's like looking at like a mountain kind of on the horizon as they move the lantern slowly, and you hear kind of echoing across the space, Odin, Odin. You can see on top of the bookshelves looks to be just gnarled brambles that have been picked up from the floor. They remind you of the brushwood. You are in a space that is a fully stocked library. Um, you can only see about 50-ish feet out before it seems to be a magical darkness that takes effect. But as you step forward, more gets revealed as you move. It just seems to be an incredibly shaded space. You can see in front of you on one of the first bookshelves, perhaps the first book, sits there with a large red ribbon sticking out of it and swaying gently in the breeze. A bookmark. You can see up ahead a couple more before darkness swallows the library. You are all in this space. What would you like to do?
What is this exactly, Roshan?
I don't know.
Can
I'm
you form a
guessing that it
guess?
is Ave's memories.
And where's the keeper been all this time? Here?
I assume so.
So I'm assuming all of these bookmarks are significant things that the keeper would like to share. So I think if you want to pursue what you chose, if you would like to save Odin, let's learn what Ave, the keeper, wants us to learn quickly. Let's divide this out intelligently as well as we can. It's a maze, but let's do what we're able. Yes?
Is there a green bookmark that we can see anywhere?
Well, this one's right here, so Roshan should start there.
Yeah, I think Roshan, up until being asked to look, has been staring at the gargantuan figure of the keeper in the distance, and has to tear his eyes away to go look at this book.
You pick it up and take it off the shelf and open it.
Yep. To the page marked by the red ribbon bookmark.
You begin to open the book, and even before you are at the page, there is a loud, imposing, yet hopeful woman's voice. A big blessing for such a little thing. You are my hope. As the book begins to, like, basically shift to the page that has the bookmark in it, you hear what sounds like a woman's pained screams, followed by another woman's screams, the voice you had heard a second ago, a scream of fear, of terror, and the sound of a baby's wet, hiccuping sobs. The book kind of pulls from your hands, Roshan, and you watch as the space fills with image. You are thrown into a scene. Everything looks incredibly real to you. Everything you feel is something perhaps Ave felt or perceived of what somebody else may have felt in the moment. Everything you smell is what he would have smelled. Everything you see is what he would have seen. Some of the scenes are set up so that you can actually see Ave. Perhaps this is how he went back and looked at memories, trying to look at it from an out of body, or perhaps that's how the keeper saw it. But you are able to see Ave throughout these. What you see is a young boy, maybe 6. He has short, curly, dark hair, tan skin, and vitiligo markings that cover part of his face and go up into his hair. He is kneeling on cold stone floors before the pain-filled, rapturous face of Gulveg. Kneeling before her, and he speaks softly. Why won't you talk to me? And is followed by silence. My people need guidance. My father, I don't want to disappoint him. A long moment of silence. You can hear the sound of soft sniffles as the figure of a young Ave sort of like leans more forward, his head pressed against the cold stone floor, and he weeps softly. The statue of Golveg stands before you, blocking the way forward. You see the scene has stopped. You can see a book in the distance with a bookmark waving out of it, but the statue stands in front of you. You glance behind you, and now you see what is a group of Gothies, their faces obscured and darkened. They look younger. Some seem older, but the more recognizable faces look younger. They wait behind expectantly. How do you move forward?
Is everyone here in the space with Roshan, or?
Yeah, all of you are standing here and observing and hearing all of the same things.
Nana is silently weeping.
I think Roshan uses magic, a lot like he was in the night before, and shatters the statue of Gulveg and steps over the pieces.
Okay. The image disappears. You move on to the next.
Nana
Yeah.
follows in step
Killed
behind.
will follow.
Yeah, Fenn's got his bow drawn. He's looking out for things that might hurt Roshan or otherwise, but he's following.
Okay. You open the next book. And this is when you are reminded that memories are hazy things. There are some people out there probably who can remember exact moments word for word. Ave can't. And he was a child, which you can see in this image as it fills the space. You see Ave, maybe 12 years old, carrying scrolls and books. You see this as like a conglomerate of different memories where he is walking through space, holding things of importance, of lore, of religion. He walks past his peers who are playing outside, and he moves to either kneel before Gulveg or goes to a table to read books or listen to the Gothies. This seems like a repetitive memory happening over and over and over again. When he is hunched over a table looking over a scroll, you can see the strong hand, a firm grip of Hemming holding his shoulder while he reads. You can see Ave staring blankly at these pages, just a sense of near nothing as he stares at them.
Can I ask,
And
what does Hemming look like?
you don't see him in entirety. You can see like that he is a tall, very strong looking man, that he has his hand placed upon Ave's shoulder. His skin looks perhaps slightly darker than Ave's, but you don't get a good look at his face in these memories. Um, you see there is a memory of him discovering his magic, of a feeling of wonder as he stares at his hands as gold hued energy moves across his fingers. And then he's standing before a sea of expectant faces and he says, Golvig spoke to me. You see all of these faces now staring at you, expectant, waiting for their miracle. How do you all move forward?
I think Roshan sees um so we're the focus of the scene, like we are where Ave is in this one.
Yes. Basically Ave in this moment. You stand where he stands. The sea of townsfolk look to all of you, waiting for their miracle.
And I think Roshan will cast a major illusion and do like he did the last time he was asked to provide a miracle, and will cause the sunlight to bounce maybe strangely off of the statue of Gulveg and cast Ave or myself in its shadow.
Nana will add a fairy fire to this, encasing the flame cast statue in ghostly flame.
I think Fen is kind of hiding underneath Keld's cloak. Like he's just like bow half drawn, just trying to stay out of sight. Like he feels very exposed and he doesn't like being the focus of anything. And he's just hiding behind this big, warm, comforting thing.
I think Keld will lay on hands Nyx to heal her.
Okay, how much are you given?
Let's do 20.
Okay. Uh, Nix, is there anything you'd like to do or add?
Well, looking at these cantrips.
Yeah.
You know, I think she'll just try to play up the ooh, I'm magically better with the help of Golbeck on Kelsby. She's like, I don't think anything I can do easily is doing much for this.
um, it is a display. Um, Beautiful light, shimmering sun, um, the healing of a person. The crowd is in awe. They have gotten word from Golvig. They are blessed.
Damn right.
You see the scene begin to fade, and you can see the next book down the line. You have to walk past a few bookshelves to get to this one. It seems a little further out.
I think there is a little bit of frustration about having to play the same part twice, but Roshan will um, go on and walk steadily toward the next book.
I think as
My
we're going
feelings, yeah.
past, I guess, a few bookshelves trying to get there, Keld is thinking about, like, what was it? Um, Someone said your last, oh, Rashawn said, like, your last moments aren't always the
The
worst, or
worst.
that sentiment. So I think Keld's thinking about wondering what Ave's last moments were like and sort of eyeing the shelves.
Mm. Up.
Julian, we can't hear you.
It's chill. For the people who are more probably, I'd say, honestly, some of you can just assume this, but those of you who are more library inclined, um, can tell that this is going, that these shelves are set up in a way that they are like, they follow Ave's timeline. They don't seem to like jump
Chronological.
around. So
Mm.
you can only assume that unless you decide to go backwards and like pick up a different book and look for something in particular, that you are heading forwards as Ave begins to get older. You pick up the next book.
Hmm.
You see Ave. He's maybe 16 or 17. He is pacing in front of the statue of Golveg. Why me? Of course. I don't know why I'm talking to you. Habit. Hatred. You could have ruined anyone's life, and yet I am burdened by a corpse's whims. You watch as he sits at the base of the statue. I'm leaving. I haven't told them yet. They'll miss Golveg more than me, I think. Uh, I I want to see the world and not think about. I need to think about myself. Am I not allowed to do that? He stands. And you are not sure if this is spoken out loud or a thought he has. But you hear, rot without me. Ave leaves the space. The statue now stands before you again, more imposing this time, larger, stronger. It blocks the path forward.
And I think Roshan, again upset that there's a statue in our way, will explode it with shatter.
You cast Shatter. You watch as it explodes part of the arm, not taking out the full statue this time. And beneath it, you can see bone and dark blackening sinew. And you hear those screams from before, the ones of a deep, trembling fear. A woman screams as the first bit of the statue is blown apart. And you can hear the beginnings of an altercation, a verbal conflict. It sounds like it is between Ave and Hemming. And you hear Hemming say, "You have responsibilities." The statue still stands.
Um, he will do one more shatter at it. Um, and does it do about the same?
You watch as another explosion of energy moves across it, and you hear Hemming's voice say, "You waste your potential." The statue seems to be hanging on by a thread as its screams echo through the space. White bone, dark meat under the stone. It does not look like it has much more strength left.
I think Roshan is upset that it's screaming and not dying, and will say, I need help.
I've got you. Let me help. Nana will come in, and she will do whatever she can to destroy what is left of this standing in our way.
And what is that?
She's got sword and shield. She's got ensnaring strike.
It's up to you.
Yeah, ensnaring strike. She will bring down three consecutive strikes with the short sword of Lons, the inheritance she got from Hertha, from Audave, on the remains of this statue. And briars, brambles come surging up from the ground and tear the remains of this statue apart from the root.
The screams are silenced as Gulveg is ripped apart, and this voice, the voice of Hemming, it seems to be following Ave, softer, only because it is distant. "You are a disappointment." And you see another book in the distance.
Overcome by feelings of charity, Fen's hand will touch Nyx's in a sort of casual way, and she will get 8 points of healing
Mm.
from
A
cure
whole
wounds.
8.
And Roshan will lead onwards.
Okay.
Nana's right there with him.
You go over and you open the next book, and the energy feels much less oppressive. There is a lightness to this feeling of freedom as you watch Ave walk along winding paths and down dirt roads and past carts, hitching a ride on the back of carts, exploring the West, dancing and drinking, overindulging. And you see that he stares at a beautiful person in a bar with short black hair and a sharp jaw. You then see an image of what looks like 5 people in a tavern basement, Ave being one of them, as all of them have hands on the back of a large, giant goat that has found its way into this tavern basement. And they all push together trying to get it out. And you watch the scene stop. How do you progress it?
I think we gotta get the goat out, guys.
Nana will bless their efforts and will bane the goat against resisting it.
Perfect.
Fen will cast Speak with Animals and try to coax the goat out. All right, come with me. Um, we can't be here anymore. I don't think we're welcome. Come along.
Okay. Anybody else want to add to the efforts?
I'll help try to lead it up the stairs. The other side.
Yeah, so you move up
Make
the
kissy
stairs and you're
noises.
like, this way.
This way.
How does Nyx look now after like 30 hit points of healing?
Listen, she's better. We're at
Um,
132 out of her 179.
oh, you look great.
She
You
looks a
look
lot better. The necrotic
fantastic.
veins are calming down.
Okay, then she's good.
Just really slow. It took her a bit to get around the goat.
We're glad to see she's.
Any more assists for removing a goat from a tavern basement, or is this the team I am working with? The info, the add-ons.
I mean, Nana's happy to shove in a shoulder, but
Yeah, yeah. You go over and you could put a shoulder in.
Keldor also cast Speak with Animals and try to persuade it to leave.
Okay. So
I was
two of
trying to
you are
think of
speaking.
something silly, but
That's okay. um,
Oh,
Willisu.
you.
Mm, the two of you are speaking goat, basically. Nyx, you're at the top of the stairs, coaxing it upwards. Roshan, did you do anything, or are you just watching the scene?
I think Roshan is taken aback by the levity of the scene, and can't help but to inspect the faces of Ave's companions, in an attempt to feel closer.
Okay. You begin to observe the scene as you watch your companions and these memories of companions push the goat up the stairs before they're all slumped on the ground, panting as the goat now sits wedged in the doorway at the exit of the tavern. Um, you watch as a party comes together for the first time, brought together in a tavern. It is a group of 5 trekking across the continent. Uh, from observing the faces and getting to watch more scenes, you are able to recognize a young Dagwood and also a young Marcher. Uh, there are 2 other people. There is a pretty elven woman. She's a cleric of Lean, and her name is Arame. And then there is a strong looking, lineagely ambiguous man named Drask. Marcher and Dagwood are quite young. Marcher does not have his kind of signature flair and mustache. You can see that he's beginning to grow into this um, sort of not a machismo, but just like a suave, debonair thing. But you know that this is somebody who is very early on in that journey, who is just starting to figure that out. Um, Dagwood is wearing baggier, darker clothes, has a shorter haircut, does is not wearing the tight, more feminine clothing that they were wearing when you met her. Um, You can see this party trekking across the continent, fighting corrupted entities that they run into, defending themselves against bandits. They're exploring ruins and caves. They're enjoying the world's pleasures. They're picking up scrolls and books, and they're taking rubbings of wall carvings. They're hunting for knowledge. Ave is hunting for knowledge or something. You can feel confusion from him. He doesn't know what he's looking for. But he is focusing on experiences. He wants to see the world and see what it has to offer him. The party begins heading eastward when war intensifies in the west. Ave turns 18. You can see Ave and Marcher, both shirtless, wrestling under a familiar banner of Beloved. You can see an image of Ave resting his head on Dagwood's shoulder as she sketches in a book intricate runes and fragmented pieces of snakes. There's Ave and Marcher moving about a tavern, talking to strangers. Arame and Dagwood watching from a corner booth, and you hear Marcher, "Whoever gets the most names wins." As you see, they both scatter and begin to start talking to strangers. I think there's only one way to progress, is that you guys have to get more names.
Well,
How do you
then.
charm the pants off of the people in this place to get their names?
Oh, that's easy. Nana's got that leaderly swagger, commanding presence. So definitely either performance or persuasion, either way. Very much turning on the charm, being, hello. It's excellent to meet you this evening. I'm Nana. What's your name?
You watch like a faceless like bar patrons are like, like, and like the sound of voices, but not exactly words as they speak to you.
Spooky.
Anybody else getting into the game?
Hmm.
I think Fen would probably just make a bar bet. Like, he'd be like, I'm going to put an arrow into that crest there on the wall. Then my second shot will split that arrow. If I do, you tell me your name.
You hear the murmurs and chirpings of voices speaking to you, intrigued, interested. Anyone else?
I don't think Nyx fully understands that she's supposed to be trying to charm these people into telling her their names, so she'll just do what she did last time she was in a room with a bunch of people and pull up a chair to a table and sit there and start just talking at the people.
And eventually she's
My-
like, by the way, I'm Nyx. What's your
Yeah,
name?
by the way, I'm me.
I think that's similar to Keld's approach because he's not really
Pull up a chair
well
with me.
versed in flirting, so his flirting is more just like general like friendliness and
He's the most lovable of us.
We
If
both
Kill
show
can't
up.
get some names, we're fucked.
We
Yeah.
both show up at a table and start talking at him.
You work them with the old 1-2 of the big pot, little pot, and they're just
Yeah.
hopeless.
And I think Roshan is a little bit sniffly as he watches this unfold because he was told this story by Dagwood. And so I think he watches for as long as he can to corroborate her ideas of the events, and then finally joins in himself with, I think he probably just uses his persuasion and charm.
Yeah. The thing is, I could probably go this whole event without making you guys roll dice, and whatever you say goes. But if you'd just like to see how nice it is, each of you pick up a dice. You pick the stat, whether that is an attack roll with a bow and arrow or a persuasion check. Whatever you add to it, if it's an advantage, what have you, go ahead and roll it and just tell me what we get. See how good you guys are.
I rolled a natural one and it was a little cocked, and I'm like, well, we could just try that again. And then I got another natural one
Yeah. It
for a
said, "You heard me."
17, a 17 persuasion.
Cool.
I am so very good. Got a natural 20
Ooh,
plus
Mhm.
15. So, like,
Jesus.
Yeah.
yeah. So Fen is picking up the slack for Roshan. Roshan's a little emotional. I understand.
No, it's
It's
totally
no
yeah.
fault. Like,
No.
that's what we're here for. We're friends. Friends are here to support each other.
I
And some
don't
of us
know
do
how
that
Nana is
through
holding herself together.
acts of martial prowess. That's fine.
Yeah. I think maybe Nana is really trying to understand Ave by channeling what he's going for. Like she sees what he's doing. She knows what she can do to vamp off of that. I have a 19 on the dice for persuasion, plus 9, plus a 10 on my d10 from my commanding presence.
Okay.
So it's that like 20, 38, I think.
Keld got a 15.
I beat you by 1 with my 16.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that sounds about right.
Yeah, no, I believe that fully.
it is easy conversations and some flirting that gets a handful of names, but maybe feels a bit uncomfortable. And then there is a confidence that also brings more names, and a bet one as an arrow is split in half, um, getting people basically chanting their names. It is all warbled and garbled, and you cannot hear it. As throughout the scene, you watch as like Ave and Marcher just seem to be in like different places as they talk to people. And Ave comes back and meets Marcher at the table, and Marcher presents on slips of paper every name he acquired. And then Ave pulls out a handful, and then another handful, and another handful. And Marcher like looks over them and like glances around the room, and he's like, "You were only supposed to talk to women. This is cheating." And they go back and forth squabbling on the topic. Um,
I
before
was
you
like, it's
see
not my fault. I
Limited
think they're
yourself,
all
man.
nice.
Marshall limited himself in the game.
He did.
Um, and you see another book in the distance.
I think there is a little bit of reticence to leave this one, but
Yeah.
Roshan will eventually tear himself away and head in that direction.
Yeah.
And
Nana will
of
pat her
course,
shoulder.
just so it is apparent, if you are in a particular scene, you can pry into those moments if there's something in particular you want. Um, and there may be a chance later, if you think of something, to maybe go back and begin looking if you think you have the time. But if there's something in particular in a scene, you're like, I want to look at this harder, or what happened here? Like, you are able to do that if something comes to you, and I will tell you if it is possible or not, because it'll involve finding the right book in this section you're currently in. But there's a book in the distance, and you may open it. Okay.
Let's do it.
They're walking into a temple, an old ancient thing. Uh, Dusty floors, crumbling stone, ancient corridors. There is a feeling of uncertainty as Ave and his companions enter the space. You can hear Arame's voice. They said it was a temple of Snotra, but doubt. A feeling of doubt in this moment. Incorrect information. A trap is triggered, and there's a poison dart that shoots from a hole in the wall and hits Drask in the neck, and he falls. You see Ave next to him, and beginning to cast healing magics. I'll make sure he's okay. And kind of like drags him to a nearby room and sort of sets him down. He heals him. He stands up and begins to move through the space after he knows he is stable. He enters a dark stone room with darker stains on the floor. There are old melted candles, a jagged rusted knife, and rotten books lining the walls. There is a carving on the main wall of some large, prolific entity being worshipped by hundreds, its mouth horridly agape, ready to consume. Ave moves through the space and runs his fingers over the wall until they stop on a particular spot. He runs his fingers along a seam in the stone. There's something here, he mumbles to himself, and the scene stops. You can see that there are divots on the floor. Each one at the end of this large rune, there is a pedestal. But you can see that it's like sunken in and carved in. It's a rune that has many triangular pieces near the center, and then has, I think, about 5 pointed ends that are not like pointed in the wall. There's one that hits into the wall where Ave is, and then 5 extra points that stick out and touch near like slightly risen um pedestals. How do you solve the key? How do you open this little spot in the wall? How do you progress the scene?
And I think Roshan walks through this scene with a strange awareness of what's going to happen, and as too late, but as it happens, I think he says loudly at Drask as he gets stabbed by something from the wall. I think he says, "Prudence," and then we'll go over and lay his hand on Ave's and give Drask some healing as well. And then follows into this chamber, and I think he stands there looking at Ave, but doesn't make a move to try and solve this puzzle.
So you've laid out the room for us, but these 5 points of interest here, are there any markings on them of any sort, or I didn't hear your response if there was one.
You can roll investigation.
Okay. That's a natural one, just to bring balance to the universe.
I don't suppose there's anything perception can do for me in this instance.
A natural one for a total of 8, just for the record. Eight's not terrible, right?
No. Guys, I'm really bad at drawing this rune. Yeah, 8's not going to cut it.
Okay, Cal, we found the thing last time, so we can figure this out. And we found in the tower, we found that hidden spot. I think we've got this.
We can do a little investigating. Oh,
And that is what is
That's
on
the rune
ground?
carved on the floor.
Okay.
All of them have like little like pedestals at the ends of them, except the one at the top right here, which meets the wall.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So just to give you a visual. So please tell me what you're rolling or what you're particularly looking for if you're trying to gather more information. What's the vibes?
I'm gonna go investigate some pedestals.
Okay. Investigate for me.
That is 14.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
My -1.
Roll medicine.
Oh,
Hmm?
interesting.
24.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of blood around these pedestals. It's hard to tell because the
Oh.
stone is a little darker, but
No.
Blood
Does
So-
sacrifice.
I
Oh.
assume, does that mean they all need to be bloody at the same time?
Well, only one way to find out.
There's so many
Right.
ways to find out.
Does each
you
one have
name-
blood on it?
All
They
of them
do.
do involve blood. I
Well,
think.
I'm ready. Ixoplot or Cyclone, stand by one of them.
Yeah.
Hmm. How many pedestals are there?
5.
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. So if each one of us goes over
What's
and puts
bleeding
a
a
bit
little?
of blood,
Rex could do one if somebody doesn't want to.
I could.
that is your prerogative. I will not make you. If you choose to do so, that is fine.
Next.
I will go over.
All right. Fen will take a position in one of these fucking pedestals.
Keld will too.
Yep.
Roshan, you currently stand in the middle of the room watching Ave, and then you see out of the corner of your eyes each of your companions standing at a pedestal.
So it's just pedestal and no bowl or anything?
Nope, just pedestal. Maybe somebody looted the bowls a long time ago, but
Maybe.
You have to imagine the bowl.
pretend in your heart that's where the bowl is.
Well, he probably wasn't paying attention to the fact there were bowls, and he just doesn't remember it in the memory.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You are dealing also with memories.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of plain walls in these memories.
That makes sense. Simplified details.
The place looks a lot
Low
cleaner
render
than it
rates.
probably was, you know?
That's why the render distance is limited, you see.
Is Ave standing motionless, like frozen, waiting to proceed?
Currently seems to be frozen. Like he has
Okay.
not made a move yet. Like the memory stopped.
Because I think Roshan is wondering why he's not moving, and thinks to try and read his mind, but then remembers that Ave's thoughts are played aloud for us when they're important to the memory, and will go to the final pedestal and cut his palm a little bit.
Yeah. Stabby, stabby.
Fen's gonna cut his ear so it doesn't affect his bow drawing ability. The
Yeah,
ears bleed
Naga
a
will
lot.
like maybe take a bit like up on the forearm a little so that it's not like, the delicate nerves in the hand and the palm and the stuff that all gets moved around when you open and close your hand.
Okay.
But it
Everybody go
bleeds
ahead.
good there.
It do bleed good there, but
But
it
it's so
also bleed
somatic
good in
and
the
tingly.
arm.
Everybody go ahead and take 3 points of slashing damage.
Yep. Ouchie.
It's a bad
And-
cut. Fuck that.
Yeah.
You need a lot of blood.
We're filling the bowl, remember?
Or,
Finn's getting a
You
new
have to
person.
imagine the
divot.
bowl. And you do see that the blood does begin to fill into these divots. So there is a amount of blood needed. As the blood begins to fill, you see Ave standing at one of the pedestals. And
There's
then the
no
next
way
one.
This was Snotra's temple.
And the next one. And the next. And you see him starting to look like a bit pale and weary as he finishes at the last
Oh.
pedestal.
Oh no.
And you watch as a small compartment opens where he had ran his fingers over a seam in the wall. You watch as Ave goes over and reaches inside and pulls out a pristine book. He looks at the dark casing. He opens it and begins to scan. You watch as he had already grown pale. It looks as if he goes paler. A mix of horror beginning to shift out of the curiosity that he originally was presenting. Oh, the fool wished to do more than play God. A luxury to believe that's possible, right, Golvig? I was you for years, and all I got was... And he flips another page. This is madness. And he kind of like begins to close the book and like hesitates for a moment. If only this magic didn't attract selfish, evil men. Ave? You hear a voice from the door, and you can see Dagwood looking around the corner. Oh, I'm sorry. You know I talk to myself when I'm nervous. And you can see what looks like a conversation that occurred, like the memory's trying to recall it, but it just is a jumble of conversation. A couple moments like pop out near the end. I'm not sure what I'm seeking. I think eventually I'll rip at the seams. And Dagwood looks to him. Why don't you stop? And Ave looks to her. Would you? And she shakes her head. And you watch Ave sort of soften as a small smile replaces that look of confusion and a bit of desperation. As he begins to put the book into his bag, they both hear the screams of their companions down the hall, and they quickly like jump to attention and start booking it down the hallway before you see another book in the distance. Or yeah, another book. I was just like, book. Yeah, there's so many books, guys. Another book with a bookmark in the distance.
Yup. Well, okay then. Nana wants to, like, at least take a second and look over this space before we move to the next, and just... Obviously, this cannot have been a temple to Snotra. Obviously, like, the feeling was from the original adventurers also.
Wonder who it was, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is there any iconography here that we've seen, that we know, that we've come across?
I would need intelligence checks. This will go through the scene, and anything that maybe needs to be interpreted a certain way will be interpreted by me, or something else will make itself apparent, or if a new book need be opened to continue that line of thought.
Okay.
Lana knows Snotra. Can she have advantage?
You can have advantage on knowing if this is Snotra.
I need to use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Okay. By golly, by gum. For knowing whether or not this is Snotra, I rolled a 9 and a 2, -1. So, 8.
Hey, you're pretty certain. Also based on the
Snotra
fact from...
probably doesn't like blood, right?
Yeah,
That wasn't
also
the
based
vibe.
on the reaction of the people in the memory being like, I kind of don't think this is a temple of Snotra. You agree, you second that sentiment. You don't think this is a temple of Snotra.
Okay. Dunno,
Other
too.
people are welcome to throw their intelligence checks into the ring if they're so inclined.
Oh, why
Please,
not?
God.
I'm so good at it. That's my -1.
We gotta kill time anyways.
I'm
Oh,
so
Josh,
good.
please.
I got a 6.
Fuck.
Ooh, hell yeah. You don't think this is Snotra either. You agree.
You just gotta get above a 10.
5.
Okay.
God damn.
an 18 on the dice, so that's 17 for Nyx.
Kel's like,
Even I
listen, I
don't.
don't really know
He's like,
Thank-
Snotra.
of course it's not Snow Trump.
I don't know her.
She wouldn't let me in her library. I was allowed here.
That
You
makes sense.
start taking it
That's a
in.
good rationalization.
You agree with the party who's like, I don't think this is Snotra, and you're like, of course it's not Snotra. Like, good job, everyone.
Duh.
She didn't kick me out.
You recognize the rune on the floor to possibly be a calc, which has a few meanings. In some interpretations, it can mean chalice. But before that, this is perhaps a story from your grandmother, that in some funeral rituals that this symbol was used, and it could either mean earth or chalk. So it was basically a way to inscribe upon a death ritual. This is a dark and damned place. You feel that and know that immediately as you look up at the carving on the wall. The way Ave was talking was implying that this was no god, that this was some person standing in that position and rallying people and then perhaps making steps to grow their power. So the depiction is of a consumer taking something in.
This is like Bosch all over again, guys, but from before us. There's just some person.
Well, I hope they're no longer.
It was real bad.
Sounds like they suck.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I like how long Ave lingered on that book.
Did he take it with him?
He did. You watched him put it into his bag.
Not really the kind of book I think we want this based on, but I guess we'll see.
There's another book ahead with a bookmark if you're so inclined.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let's
You
see.
move forwards. And you open the book, and sort of that levity and confusion and like strange space fades. It is immediately replaced with the heaviness of sorrow as you see Ave sitting outside of a tavern holding a letter in his hands. There is shock and sadness on his face. He is then in an inn room with his party. I have to go home. And Dagwood replies, do you want to? And he responds, it isn't about what I want. It's about what must be done. And you watch as Dagwood watches him leave. She stands in the doorway. She does not follow, but watches him go as he looks back to her. You watch Ave buy a horse, and he rides westward. It is a blur of passing landmarks. And then he's back home in Galunder. And he embraces his weeping mother, who is heavily pregnant. He stands next to his father's corpse that is dressed in finery as it sits at Gulveig's feet, and he sets him ablaze while everyone in the town watches. It is a strange memory of sobs and prayers and crackling embers and the smell of a funeral pyre. And a young Hertha holding Ave's hand and giving it a comforting squeeze. And then he is a chief, immediately pulled into chiefhood and into the middle of a war that is ravaging the West. You see Ave trying to get involved in peace talks with a large man, shirtless, whose shoulders are draped with the white fur of a bear, struck Herserson. There are letters lining Ave's desk, some from Jarl Torgrim and King Colborne. There are threats of escalation, of the East joining in the war, the promise of more death. And then there are complaints from townsfolk who are afraid, who fear for their lives, for their families' lives. There are the Gothies who have these mounting expectations based on this worry that Golveg had been gone for so long, that her silence was heard while he had fled. And that word sticks to him. Fled, fleeing. That's what he wants to do. You can feel that large welling up need that Ave does not want to be here and wishes to run. But that is tampered down by the overwhelming need to help, to succeed. And it pushes down what he perceives as selfishness. There's a scene where he stands before Dagwood. "I'm sorry," he says to her. She responds, "Don't apologize to me. You're the only one wounded by your choices." Before they part ways. Another scene where he holds a small baby wrapped in a colorful blanket. "I think she has father's eyes," and he gives a small smile to his mother. And then Ave stands in a long house, staring at Chief Herserson. Herserson sits slumped on a wooden throne, that imposing figure from before seeming dampened. Um, you hear his voice. "Hemming, son." "I, Chief Herserson, I am. I'm sorry to hear about your daughter. She is in Valhalla. And I am sure she was greeted with mead and the promise of endless grassy fields. Herserson, no more need die because of our egos. We can end this here." You watch as Herserson stands, now that tall, imposing figure again. "No, I am filled with a new fury. My people are emboldened. They have something to fight for now. They will rally, and I will rend the meat from my enemy's bones and tinsel the trees with their organs. My enemy, who thinks mourning weakens me. Join us now. Unify the West. Stand against the king and those who would kneel at his feet because they seek to rest under the perceived safety of his heel." Ave stares up at him. "I was worried you would feel this way, but not surprised. I have placed runes around the outskirt of Laminder. At my word, Golveg's holy fire will consume your city and its people." And he holds eye contact with Herserson. Herserson steps in. Their faces close. Ave can smell his breath. It smells of smoke and onset. "You threaten my home, Hemming son." And Ave maintains focus on him. "Nothing will remain but ash and stories of old, dead Vikings." And there's a slight gap in the memory where Herserson is now back at his throne, elbows on his knees, a bit of a defeated look upon him. And Ave places his coat on. "We'll say you agreed to peace for the safety of your people. In your daughter's memory, no one needs to know." And then it is a flurry of handshakes and paperwork and peace. And the oath. The need to be anywhere but here. as he stares at her statue, as he hears her name, as he leads her prayers, performing her miracles. But he stays. He then greets a young Roshan and Rosetta, taking a knee in front of them. Later that night, he sketches runes that are on their bodies in a journal. Who would do this to children? He muses to himself. I'm not sure anyone can protect them from this burden. And then you are outside, and it is a sunny afternoon as Ave leans forward against a tree, hands covering his eyes. 8, 9, 10. You can hear the giggle of children as Roshan, Rosetta, and Nana have scattered into hiding places, and the scene stops. Gotta play a game of hide and seek. Where are they?
All right. I think that Nana, being lithe and limber, has sort of clambered up into a tree. She's found a nook where she can secure herself very carefully, like right up as far up as she can go and still maintain her balance on this branch. And she is being very still and very quiet.
Roshan will head toward the inn, toward his new home, and will. I think he will take one of the buckets used for milking the goats and hide behind a couple of barrels with that on his head.
Okay.
Where do we suppose Rosetta is hiding?
A good question. Where are you
Hmm.
guys hiding? Or where are you seeking?
It's like, are we hiding or seeking?
Up to you.
Hmm.
I think Fen knows Nana very well, and he knows where she's hiding, or would be able to intuit where she would hide, but he's not going to give her away.
Hmm.
I don't think Nix knows the town very well. It's like, I remember there's a big statue in the middle. That seems like a great place that child would go hide behind and would just start looking around there.
Okay, so you begin the hunt.
Yeah.
Keld?
I think he would also be looking,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like he's like, at least one of them had to have went up into a tree, so he's going to be looking up high.
Okay.
That's where he would be. So
Yeah, he's like, I'd go in a tree.
If I were a little me, I'd go in a tree.
I've hidden in a tree before.
There's not a river in the middle of town. That's where Nix would be is in the water.
Yeah.
Barring that, though.
It is a swirl of just locations in town as you see Ave just sort of like appearing in spots and being like, where could they be? As he moves around looking for people. And Keld, as you find Nana, Ave is next to you, and he's like, it's a dangerous spot, but a good one. And he'll like put his hands up, and you watch as he reaches towards you and pulls down a much smaller Nana that he can easily hold in two hands and kind of puts over his shoulder and starts moving forward as he progresses through the town. It is possible that Nana always hides in the same tree on the same branch, as she is a very young child. Uh, they move forward, and Nyx, you see sort of pressed up into like the one of like the funeral divots. of like the statue where they could like put like pieces to like support a body, you can see Rosetta pushed in as she looks up at you, and Ave is next to you, and leans in. You're going to get dusty, and then helps her carefully like maneuver out of this funeral pyre, um, and holds her hand as they progress further through town. Um, all of you in tow except Roshan, who he eventually, Roshan, you hear a gentle knocking against the bucket on your head, and you take it off and peek and see Ave and your sister and Nana and all of your companions all standing in front of you. It's a good one this time. Took me a long time to find you. And helps a Roshan begin to like stand up.
And I think Roshan is kind of lost in the reverie of the moment, his memory, but from a different point of view. And he doesn't move immediately to move on.
Okay. You can see just kind of like a mixture in the memory of like him talking to like the children and like commenting on like how good the hiding is and such and such, and the cheers for one more time, come on, just one more time. And there is the counting: 8, 9, 10, and you watch as your children selves scatter to hide. Nana returns to her tree and climbs up into the same branch, hoping for a different alternative as Rosetta and Roshan
She's like, what,
disappeared.
2? How old is she here?
She's probably like, I would say maybe like 4 or 5.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if a 2-year-old's getting up into a tree.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. That's a very fair
That
point.
kid's like, watch this shit. Woof.
Hold my bottle.
I got this shit. Um, and he finishes counting, and you watch as he moves around the space and then stops. His expression darkens a bit as he sees a man approaching town who looks like Roshan. Roshan, you can guess that this is Trigvi. His dark hair is short and messy, and his features are sharp. His eyes are wild and rimmed with heavy bags. He speaks of opportunity, power, potential. And then you all feel the sensation of pain as pain shoots through Ave's fist as it connects with Trigvi's nose. If I see you again, I will kill you. And Trigvi flees. But there is a seed planted in the back of Ave's mind: opportunity, power, potential. And you see another book in the distance.
I think Fen has re-centered himself uh, from a state of like actually kind of enjoying some of this to like recognizing that it might be causing some of his friends some anguish, and he's gonna stealth forward, like he's just crouch walking with his bow out, and he'll be the one to take the next book. And it, I don't think it's gonna do anything for them, but I think he thinks it might. Like if
Mm-hmm.
it's through his lens or whatever. So Fen will take the next book.
Okay. The book opens and the scene unfolds in front of you. Ave's older now, and he is moving through a wheat field. He is wearing sunrise colors of a spring festival that he probably just led prayers for. And you watch as he stops and he looks at a stalk. The wheat berries are black and damp, and he crushes them moistly in his fist. And he looks towards the mountains. Endless, long, sleepless nights of research, tests on corrupted things, once animals gnashing in cages covered in runes, looking for a chance, an opportunity, anything. There's an option. runic spires constructed at the edge of the valley. Each of you saw these, sans Nyx and Keld, getting to see them for the first time. These statues that had been constructed at the edge that you walked past while you entered into the Forbidden Valley. But it's a bandage. All it gives him is time, a time to find a real answer, because this is not enough. You watch as he tosses the journal from the temple onto a cluttered table, and Dagwood, sitting next to it, picks it up and thumbs lazily through the book. Ave rubs at his temples. There has to be a way that doesn't involve this much death. If there was an easier way, Dagwood looks to him, everyone would do it. And he kind of takes a moment. I wouldn't have to do anything if one god cared enough. And Dagwood responds, or was capable enough. There's a long pause. He looks to her. I never wanted this. I should have ran off with you a long time ago. And they stare at each other. And she smiles. I have an idea. It is months, years of planning and preparation. The only way to repel corruption is to become more powerful. A god. So many steps and sleepless nights of runes and blood as he carves upon Golveg's statue, his flesh once he returns a corpse, to be used as a sacrifice to repel corruption. His body enhanced by Dagwood. A purpose for a corpse. They work on the pearls to protect his soul and body from outside influence. You watch as he sits at a desk alone, holding his father's crest, the chief's crest, turning it over in his hands. You can see that there's a lock of his hair knotted around it, twisted and almost like gnarled looking. You watch as he tightens his grip and he slams his hand down hard onto the table with force. The tips of the spears of the crest stab up into his hands, and you can see the spikes making indents at the top of it. You watch as his blood spills over the crest, as small runes he had carved illuminate across it. The hair crackles and sparks as if struck by fire, and then nothing. A simple crest, no blood, no markings, and next to him, the book from the table rests next to him. Late nights working. You can ask questions after. Thank you. Late nights working, communicating with Dagwood. You can see that there's a scene where Hertha storms out of the room, slamming a door behind her, and Ave does not follow. He looks tired, thinner, distracted. He smiles when he leaves the house. He is the same dedicated Ave. He speaks to Dagwood again. He concerns me. This kiln. Dagwood quips back. Is it because he reminds you of yourself? And you watch as Ave shoots a glare towards her, and she returns a sharp look. Watch yourself in my home, Hemmingson. You see a scene where Rose is running after Ave, the crunch of fall leaves underfoot. Talk to me. Ave, I know something is going on. Let me help. And Ave stops walking. And they sit in his office. He tells her of his intent to ascend to godhood, be a god who actually cares about the people of Midgard, of the hurdles he is encountering in regards to fueling such powerful magics, of what he knows of hers and Roshan's marking, of power sources. The fact that there may be a possible enemy in the east, but also a source of information. It's dangerous. I could not promise your safety. He hands her a sketch of a ritual. It will kill you both. He hands it to her and she looks over it. Roshan, you recognize it from what you had seen upon the dining table when Rose showed it to you. She responds, "Or change us." And he nods. "Or change you." And you watch as Rose agrees readily. And Ave asks, "What of Roshan?" And she responds near immediately, "He's not ready." And Ave nods slowly. "I have faith in him, but I will defer to your judgment." And you watch as Rose holds her tongue. And the scene comes to an end as you see a bookmark fluttering in the distance.
I think that was hard to watch for Roshan, and he probably stands there blank faced for 10, 15 seconds after that ends, and then just moves on, robotically, either following whoever goes to the book first or leading himself.
Nana will take his hand and walk alongside him. That
I
was rough for her to watch, too.
So my question was, that sounded a lot like the crushing of the wheat berries sounded a lot like episode 1. Like,
Mm-hmm.
are we at that point in the timeline, like based on everybody's maturity?
You think you're pretty close to that, maybe like a
Okay.
couple years off. Don't think it's the exact year, but it's getting closer.
Okay. I think Fen will kind of just wheel himself in front of Nana and Roshan and just be like, "I think you both know what happens next, and I don't know if either of you want to relive it."
I think that it's important that we understand what Ave was trying to do, and also what he actually did.
I'm here with you. I'm just, I just want to make sure that you're all right to do this again.
I'm not all right, but I'm doing this.
I think Fenn's just gonna kind of like embrace both of them. Like, and Fen not a touchy person at all. It's not a, it's a, it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Um, but he's just gonna like take one under each arm, like face to face, and just give them a big hug.
Nana just squeezes hard. We've got this. We need to know.
Like to check and make sure that Roshan also has got this and needs to move.
He's existing.
Mm.
He looks more exhausted than worried at this point. If he doesn't look worried by what you think is going to happen next. He already lived that.
Okay. One last squeeze.
Mhm.
Who's getting the book? Who's
Nana
opening
will
it?
reach. Nana
Okay.
will go for it.
Nana opens the book. Ave's mind is a flood of papers and paperwork. Um, you can see him working on his will that flutters by in the wind. You can see pages of his journal that you recognize, Roshan, pieces that you guys have seen glimpses of, letters from chiefs and jarls, correspondence with the kiln, unanswered letters that were sent by his old teammates, scribbled out notes, sentences written over and over and over again. Ave standing in the middle of it all, holding a black book in his hand, the book from the temple. And you watch as he throws it into the fire before leaving. It grows cold. You can hear the whistling of wind. Ave lays in the snow. It's the first step of his plan. A plan that has taken years of his life off of his life. Countless lives, strangers, friends, family. He notes that his cheek is cold as he stares out at a hazy horizon. Screams are drowned out by howling wind. This is what he has been working towards. There's pride. He is fueled by ambition. There is elation at the first piece finally happening. And the feeling of something creeping up his spine. Doubt. Then nothing. There are murmurs in the dark, and a low, rumbling growl. And you can see past it, in the center of the library, atop a pedestal, a large, beautiful, ornate book filled with red bookmarks, shifting lazily in the wind. And the looming figure of the keeper, stalking, searching for Odin, as the lantern sweeps across. That is where we are going to stop for tonight. Hey, thanks for being here. Um, you want to keep up with us? That's cool. We are at Backs of Gods on Instagram, and we are at the Dice Cult on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook. If you want to see how we got here, you can head over to youtube.com/the Dice Cult and watch all past episodes of On the Backs of Gods. Good luck. Or you can watch other shows and campaigns and one shots and what have you. Those include The Gossamer Vale, run by Katie. It is a Celtic mythology inspired piece of D cinema. I don't know. The words had to keep coming out or the sentence stops.
Theater of the mind.
We are currently infiltrating a bandit camp, and we have a day and a half basically to see what we can acquire and do as much damage as possible without getting caught, and also finish our interviews, I guess, if there's any more of that to do. Yeah, boy, howdy. If you want to join us, we are every other Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. Not this Thursday.
No, no,
No,
no,
next Thursday.
no.
You can
Yes,
join
yes,
us to
yes.
see if we done what get caught. But I think we're almost maybe okay, but you never know.
You never
So
know.
you can join us and
You'll
see how it goes next
yeah.
Thursday.
The
Uh,
19th, February 19th, cultists.
Also, we didn't get to roll a lot of them today, but Katie makes dice.
They're
They're
beautiful.
beautiful and love to tell a story.
Mhm.
So you can go to the link in the chat or the box below to get yourself some dice. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. We love telling you a story. We'll be here same time, same place, Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, cultists.
Love you, folks.